Welcome to Combat Sports Talk, a podcast dedicated to UFC and Bellator discussion, the MMA community, and combat sports in general. I'm your host, Ryan Smith, and joining me this week is the guy who went from losing fights to me to beating up professional fighters, KC Onyebuchi.
Dankeschön. Ich bin Ausländer und spreche nicht Deutsch.
Wow, dude, I am impressed. How about that for our UFC Hamberg show? That's awesome, dude. I'm impressed.
Looking back at that, I probably should have figured out a real phrase to say other than the one I learned in elementary school. But, yeah. Dude, Hamburg, that's what's up.
Dude.
A rare Sunday card. You got to love that.
And normally I felt like Sunday cards were only when you had a holiday on a Monday, but this one bucks the trend.
Exactly. So for the listeners on the show, go back to the podcast when I said that had nothing to do with the holiday, and I am right as usual.
That is an exception. But Germany was supposed to be an epic fight with Swiss Superstar Volkan Oezdemir versus UFC veteran Shogun Rua, but scheduling changes found Oezdemir facing returning Swede contender Alex Gustafsson at UFC 227, and Anthony Smith had to step in to face Shogun Rua, who was riding a 3-fight win streak. The card delivered amazing action, and Anthony Smith made his presence known by finishing the Brazilian.
I called it way in advance. I got to see, I was doing some training up at Factory X, and I got to see Anthony Smith in person. I was like, this dude looks ready.
Really? So
yeah,
Anthony Smith is a Factory Xer.
I don't know if he's like a full-time Factory Xer, but I've definitely seen him doing some training with Coach Mark Montoya up there several times.
That is awesome, dude. That is awesome. Well, he definitely showed out. But before we get into that, let's see the results from Sunday morning's action in the official decision.
The official decision.
This is the official decision. This is where we look at the fights from Sunday and Sunday morning and talk about some of the action. This was UFC Hamburg, Shogun Rua versus Anthony Smith from Hamburg, Germany. The first fight of the night was Nasrat Hakparast. I got it.
Nailed it.
I got it the second time. I've been practicing it. Hakparast. He defeated Mark DeKessie. Mark DeKessie's been kind of disappointing me, man. Like, he came out with all this fanfare, got himself choked out. Then he got, it's like, I think he got beat again, and I think that he may be on a 2 or 3 fit losing streak. I know he's lost like at least 2 of his last 3.
The key to success in the UFC is to just quietly hit the scene. Like, you got to stack up 3-4 wins and hope that no one hypes you up so that by the time you're ready to hit that hype train, that you've got something under your belt, so it's not just one loss sends you on a skid.
Well, yeah, and Mark DeKessie is definitely on that skid. One of the things that I know that everyone in the MMA world has already said it, but we got to say it too. Nasrat Hakparast looks just like Kelvin Gastelum. Dude looks like his twin brother.
Straight doppelganger. They should fight.
It's unbelievable. No, I guess they can't. I think they're 2 different weight classes. But
doesn't matter. The UFC doesn't care about weight classes anymore.
It really doesn't. And let's face it, Kelvin Gastelum has gone down as far as 170, so I think it's possible.
But he struggled to make weight.
Oh yeah, it's not practical for him to make that weight, but he can still try. Danny Roberts defeated David Zawada via split decision. That was a close fight. Marcin Tybura defeated Stefan the Skyscraper Struve via unanimous decision. This fight came down to whether or not Stefan Struve was going to be able to use his reach or Marcin Tybura could use his wrestling to get inside. He absolutely got inside, dropped some bombs on Stefan Struve, and cut open a spot underneath his bottom lip where there is a picture on Instagram. If you have a weak stomach, just don't go there. Just trust me, you don't want to see it. But if you like to see macabres type stuff, see the picture on Instagram of Stefan Struve sticking his tongue through his second mouth.
So gross.
That's so gross.
I can't.
They should have just stitched that up, man. They should have just stitched that up. Abu Azatar defeated Victor Miranda via unanimous decision. This was 30-27, 30-27, and 29-28. I thought that was a 30-27 type fight. Corey Anderson in the co-main event defeated Glover Teixeira via unanimous decision. And then in the main event of the evening, Anthony Lionheart Smith defeated Mauricio Shogun Rua via knockout in round 1. That was an amazing finish for someone who came in on a late fight replacement and found a way to get it done. I mean, Shogun Rua came out with just crazy intensity, was pushing forward. Smith was able to weather that initial storm, start throwing punches right back. You know, he was saying that he's got long arms. He's got to use his elbow to get inside whenever the distance closes, which is what he did. Through a big right elbow, turned Rua into a Brazilian zombie, and the fight was over. So, I mean, the thing that I have is this the end of the line for Shogun Rua? I mean, this was a pretty brutal knockout, even though he was on a 3-fight win streak. Do you think that we are seeing the end of a great career, or do you think Rua still has some fight left in him?
I wouldn't say that we're seeing the end of a great career. I think we're seeing the starts of one in Anthony Smith.
Okay, all
I'm
right.
just gonna go full home team fanboy. No, but realistically, though, I do think that Shogun is an amazing legacy fighter. Like he's been around, he's done some amazing things for the UFC in particular. But the reality is, it's the twilight of his career.
Yeah, there's really nowhere else to go. I don't know that there's any great fights that's going to get him back in that title contention conversation. So we may see 3 more fights out of him, but I don't think they're going to move the needle. They're just going to be kind of that, romanticized, oh, this is Shogun Rua, let's watch him fight, but it's not going to mean much.
Right. But you never know. It might turn into a last-minute win, kind of like we saw from Machida, that's like, oh, no, he still got something in him, and then goes over to Bellator, and we'll see what happens there.
And there's always that, is that Shogun Rua could eventually make his way over to Bellator, find a new life there. I would support it.
I support it. I see what you're saying.
You see what I did there?
I'm picking up what you're putting down.
All right, then. All right, so that has been the official decision. Let's get right into Finding the Angles.
Finding the Angles.
This is Finding the Angles. This is where we look at the news and headlines making waves in the wake of the UFC, MMA, and Bellator events from the weekend. I want to start off with the fact that this fight in Hamburg, Germany was supposed to be Shogun Rua versus Volkan Oezdemir, but they took Volkan Oezdemir and put him in UFC 227, where he promptly had to drop because of injury, so he is now out of UFC 227. The reports say that he suffered a broken nose in training, and he is having to withdraw.
Tragic, but that's the name of the game here.
Absolutely. But, it's crazy. I wonder if there's a statistic out there that says how many fighters actually pull out of the original fight that they were scheduled to fight. It's got to be in the 40% top. I think it's probably 40%.
Yeah, just really want to check the fighter's pull-out game.
Yeah. Oh. Speaking about another fighter who pulled out, Alexander Gustafsson is also out of UFC 227. So they went from putting together a pretty awesome main event to now not having a main event for UFC 227. Basically, Alexander Gustafsson pulled out with minor injury is what they're calling it. But he is definitely not going to be fighting in UFC 227. They said that doctors pulled Alex from the card last Friday, days before Anthony was supposed to compete. Anthony Smith, after knocking out Shogun Rua, called out Alexander Gustafsson in the post-fight call-out.
Very interesting. Very interesting. What if Gustafsson only pulled out in hopes of a DC type situation.
Well, absolutely. He's been chasing DC ever since DC beat him. You know, I actually have the fight poster of DC versus Alexander Gustafsson. It was a great fight. I mean, it was one where the one thing I could say about Alexander Gustafsson is that when he fights for the title and he loses, half the audience thinks he won. I mean, it's always that close.
Yeah.
So, you know, it makes total sense that he believes that he should get another shot at the title. And he's been really trying to call out DC, even on Twitter, you know, in the media. And it's so uncharacteristic of Alexander Gustafsson, because before that fight, he was the humble Swede that just was like, I will fight whoever the UFC puts in front of me. You know, I'm a fighter. I want to be a champion someday, and I'm going to do whatever it takes to get there. Now he's like, I want a title shot. I'm not fighting anybody until I get a title shot. I deserve a title shot. My name is AG.
But isn't that what this crazy UFC game has turned into? It's no longer about who can put on a great show, who's got a great skill set, who's learned how to find new ways to pull victory from the jaws of defeat. It's all about who can make a money fight happen by starting beef.
And you know what? In the past, I would debate you on this, but I'm not going to. When you see someone like Alexander Gustafsson, who has been one of the most humble people in the UFC, start playing the game of talking trash to get big fights, that's when you know that the culture has changed. That being a great fighter and winning is no longer it's not enough anymore. It's no longer sufficient. You have to be able to talk a big game, and it doesn't matter if you can deliver it. You just have to be able to talk a big game. But DC had some choice words for Gustafsson. Basically, he put, I think this was on Twitter or Instagram, one of the two, but it says, "Dear Alex, I don't know what happened to you going back to the Rockhold situation. You remember Luke Rockhold lost his fight to Yoel Romero, Soldier of God." Mm-hmm. And Rockhold said basically, you know, there's not much left for me at middleweight. I'm going to go up to light heavyweight. And because Luke Rockhold is a teammate of DC, Alexander Gustafsson took that opportunity on the night that Rockhold lost his fight to start talking smack to him and calling him out to fight at light heavyweight. So, as DC was saying, he says, "You've always been a stand-up guy, but your behavior changed. From calling a guy out on the day he got knocked out to now offering to fight me knowing I have a broken hand after Volkan couldn't go. Now you've turned down Jan," and he's talking about Jan Blachowicz. You turned down Khalil, and he's talking about Khalil Roundtree, all while calling out for a heavyweight title fight. Now, moments after Anthony Smith does work like an animal, you decide you're hurt. Man, I respect you as a fighter. I will always be grateful for October 2015. That was when DC and Gustafsson fought. But you and I won't share the octagon again. I'm disappointed in who you've become. You are so entitled, man. I can't deal with delusional people. Good luck recovering. Our time has passed. See you from the commentary.
Oh, he had such cogent material here. Such poignant retorts up until the very end where it's clearly just shady for no reason.
Wait. Explain that. I don't even get what you're saying.
All right, so he's spot on in that Alex, all like the situation with the call outs, like we can say that Alex has made some questionable choices in who he's calling out. But to just attack the man's character based on this, it seems a bit far-fetched coming from the man who just put on a WWE-style performance.
Oh, man. That's true. That's very true. DC called out Brock Lesnar.
I mean, so it's really a very poignant statement that rings true right up until you do the character assassination based on, like, you've changed. Well, come on, DC. You were the lovable, likable guy who was just struggling with, why don't you guys love me? And now you want to play both villain and good guy. So this, so much truth that just gets negated by the ad hominem attack.
There it is. So, Luke Rockhold actually was commenting on the Brock Lesnar DC situation. Because Luke Rockhold was in the ring when Brock Lesnar came in and pushed DC. He says, I was trying to judge the situation because I was about to pull a Diaz brother and jump him on the back. And this is Rockhold's referencing a fight that happened in 2009 between Nate and Nick Diaz, the Diaz brothers we talk about all the time, and Jason Mayhem Miller, who's been disgraced and disbarred from the UFC.
Yeah.
He says Brock was coming in hot and pushing DC, but DC kept his composure and was laughing it off. He says, I'm not a big fan of Brock and his style, so I wouldn't mind taking a leg home.
Wow.
Oh, it's not over. It's not over. Rockhold then says, because he was asked to explain his reaction to Lesnar's presence, he goes, he cheats. That he was exempt from testing so he could cheat. And the fact that they bring him back after that positive test and treat him like a king, that's everything that's wrong with the sport. I understand DC's point of view. He wants the money, and I wish him the best. He goes, I wanted to kick Brock's tail and do that, but the fact that this sport promotes Brock Lesnar coming off a positive steroid test after they exempt him before the fight, and he still tested positive, you don't see that happen in any other sport, and it's sad to see it happen in this sport.
Yeah.
He's right on. Luke Rockhold is spot on here. Is that
nailed it.
The UFC made special provisions. So for those of you out there, there's something called USADA. If you've listened to the show, almost every episode we talk about USADA, the U.S. Anti-Doping Agency. It is the governing body that makes sure that players or that fighters are not using banned substances to enhance their performance. Because Brock Lesnar comes from the WWE, where they don't necessarily have the same level of oversight. Brock Lesnar was, when he came back to fight in the UFC, they exempted him because they knew that he was going to have some type of performance enhancing drugs in his system as a residual from him being in the WWE. But the expectation was on fight night that he would not have it in his system at that point. Against Mark Hunt, he failed that test, and now they're bringing him back with the same kind of stipulations, and they're making this big money fight. DC wants the money, so he's willing to do it, but he's putting himself at risk because there's a great chance that what you're going to get is the beast on drugs and not just the beast.
Yeah, it's a huge problem. Like, this is where having your governing body being the UFC getting to make all of the rules for who can fight and what the stipulations are. This is a huge problem. Because, I mean, for a guy like DC, how do you turn down that money?
You don't.
Like, you know that Brock is going to not be clean, and you're going to find every way to try to make it more fair. But the reality is the guy, like, for his day job, uses steroids. There's no way he comes into this fight clean.
Wow. So that's going to be an interesting thing to see it unfold. If they actually do get that fight booked, it's going to be sometime in 2019. We know that Brock Lesnar is still serving his existing suspension from the Mark Hunt.
I would love to see him versus The Rock.
We actually could see that. It would be in a squared circle. But the Rock versus Brock Lesnar. I'm pretty sure that they've fought before. We could probably go and look that one up on YouTube. I think that one exists.
Problem is, I refuse to support any wrestling unless it's late 90s and I'm watching Sting.
Okay.
Or the Hart Brothers. Or no, it was the Von Erichs. I don't know wrestling. One of them.
Yeah. Let's just stop. I mean, you were good when you invoked Sting. You were good, and then you went the Harts, which were kind of 80s, early 90s, and then Von Erichs, which was like early 80s.
Look, the fact that you know back this level.
Oh, dude. Let me just say, I am a recovered professional wrestling maniac.
That's right, brother.
What are you gonna do when I can't even do it anymore. I used to be able to do a pretty good Hulk Hogan, though. Yeah, I used to go and watch, actually paid money to buy tickets and travel down to Houston when I was in college to go and watch professional wrestling. I think I did it twice. Like, I was legit into it.
Mind blown.
There it is. Little known facts. Hey, Colby Covington, your favorite guy.
The man who single-handedly ruined modern mixed martial arts.
Yeah, if you take Donald Trump and put him in the octagon, what you get is Colby Covington. That's a pretty fair assessment, sir.
Oh, no, I don't disagree. It's just I had to hold my tongue on adding on.
Even all the way down to the small hand. So, UFC officials are reportedly discussing stripping Colby Covington of his interim UFC welterweight championship. So, he got into this whole thing trying to be like Conor McGregor, and now he's doing it all the way down to getting his title stripped without defending it.
Yup. That's that dude.
So, Ariel Helwani broke the story.
Down.
Oh,
yeah. No, so for Colby losing, didn't it kind of come down to the timing of the fight? So you've got Colby who says anytime, anywhere, like all fighters say, but never actually mean.
Right.
Gets offered his Woodley fight, and he's like, nah, bruh, I need more time. And it's the most cowardly thing for someone who's talked as much trash as he had to say that he can't go in September. Yeah.
I mean, there is a lot of time from his fight to September. He could be ready for that fight. And he's like, oh, no, I've been fighting a whole lot. I need to recover. Like, Tyron Woodley is ready. Dude was ready in July this month. But no, you had to fight in June. So you have July, August, and September to get ready for a fight. If you really want Tyron Woodley that bad, if you're that much better than he is, you don't need the extra time. You could be ready today.
Yep.
So Ariel Helwani broke the story. Said that the UFC wanted to book Covington against Tyron Woodley in UFC 228 in September, but Colby Covington can't compete because of undisclosed reasons.
He's afraid Woodley does have the DMs of his sister.
Oh yeah. He don't want any of that. He's got to do the damage control first. Actually, that's all fake news. What are you talking about?
Oh, got him. Yeah, so really crazy, but here's the thing that works out for me. I never thought that Colby really deserved a title fight.
Oh, you're right.
He talked his way right into one. Congratulations. But now they have to book a real title fight, and that's more intriguing to me.
Well, you know who wants that title fight? It's Darren Till. And so what Darren Till said, he goes, I don't know what's happening with Colby, whether he's injured or not, but I've been offered Tyron Woodley, and he turned the fight down. And he goes, that's what it looks like to me, and I've been on the UFC's case about this. UFC wants me to fight him, but he will not accept it. UFC didn't mention a date or anything, but that's the fight they wanted to make, and he's obviously isn't into it. Is this the same guy?
That's not true at all, because I'm not on Twitter much, as you know.
Yes.
But I did see the moment that Colby was out, and I texted you, Tyrone's next tweet was, to Till, where you at?
Wow. See, there it is.
Legitimately, his next tweet after tweeting to Colby, so you talked all this mess, and now you're not ready to go in September. Till, where are you at? Let's make this happen. So come on.
Yeah,
Woodley, it's all recorded. Like, what is wrong with these people who forget that your Twitter messages are out there? Like, yes. You can't say that someone isn't ready if they called you out before you could.
There it is. I mean, you absolutely are correct on this. Woodley even went further. He goes, the UFC never even called me about the Colby Covington fight. That's the funny part, he says. He goes, he and Rafael dos Anjos fought on June 9th. Then he never got a call to fight him. He never got a call. But he did say, you got the boo-boo belt. Now come and get your tail whipped. Now, all of a sudden, Colby Covington was supposed to fight me. And then he said that, I'm having trouble reading this. And then he said, I talked all the crap. Now, hold on. I got to actually get in there with this dude and fight him. And so he called Dana White and said, hey, Dana, my VJ's sore. And I don't think I can fight Tyron Woodley. So basically, it became time to put up or shut up. And Colby Covington's like, owie, I can't fight.
Yeah.
So Tyron Woodley goes on and goes, now I got somebody, he's referencing Darren Till, who hit me up at 2 a.m. on Twitter saying, sign the contract. He goes, I hate when fighters do that. I don't have any contract. And who are you? Didn't you just miss weight? If you want to fight me, have your manager set it up. Have Dana White set it up, and that's the deal. It's like, listen, didn't Darren Till miss weight against Stephen Wonderboy Thompson and then in the post-fight comments say, I do not deserve a title shot?
Oh, fighters with such short. This is that CTE, man. Just memories just seem to go right out the window.
Yeah. So I mean, what if Darren Till really didn't believe he didn't deserve a title shot? If that was how he really felt, then you know who needs to be fighting Tyron Woodley come September. The Nigerian Nightmare. Kamaru Usman.
Look, I mean, to Till, I would say sit down, be humble. Like, you said your piece on, hey, I don't deserve a shot. Even though Woodley was willing to call you out, now you're making it a personal beef for no reason. Well, here's the thing about Usman. I want him to have it. He hasn't technically earned it yet.
They will not give him a chance. Like, it's weird because I'm not on the Usman hype train. I made that very clear. However, I am now finding myself in the position where I am advocating Kamaru Usman fighting for the title against Tyron Woodley because no one wants to fight this dude. Like, he has to kick, he has to claw and scratch to get a decent fight. And so finally now the way has been cleared. You've got Wonderboy Thompson, who's been defeated. You've got Rafael Dos Anjos, who's been defeated. You've got Colby Covington, who is hurt. You've got Robbie Lawler, who's not available right now. You know, you've got Darren Till, and who doesn't, in his own words, doesn't deserve a title shot. The next guy in line is Kamaru Usman. Give that man this fight.
I say give it to him. I mean, the only argument you can have against him is he hasn't earned it. But again, when he's put himself out there for every available fight, he wins whatever you throw in front of him. It's not his fault that the top tier guys refuse to give him a shot. And at this point, why not give Woodley a good tune-up fight? Yeah.
And then Darren Till, Darren Till could fight Colby Covington. And the winner of that fight gets to fight the winner of Kamaru Usman and Tyron Woodley. Do that at the end of the year. Boom. You have an amazing December or January card. Yeah. Set it up, or you can set it up at Super Bowl weekend like they like to do. Yeah, there's so much options that you have right now. I'm telling you, I need to be a UFC matchmaker. Casey, make that happen for me.
Matchmaker, make me a match.
Let's talk about UFC 230. I'm just not, I don't even acknowledge that is even happening. Because when you sing in show tunes, man,
Hey, I'm secure with myself.
All right. Luke Rockhold and Chris Weidman at UFC 230 in Madison Square Garden. I'm actually glad they made that fight.
Whomst are these two has-beens?
Well, Luke Rockhold and Chris Weidman are both former middleweight champions of the UFC. This fight is not official. Let me just make that clear. But it looks like they're going to get a rematch because Chris Weidman was the reigning champ, and then Luke Rockhold came in there and whooped him, which started a big slide for Chris Weidman, who lost the next two fights and then finally eked one out against Kelvin Gastelum. I feel like this is making a way for Kelvin Gastelum to get in there and fight Robert Whittaker. I think he's the heir apparent to that fight. And so Luke Rockhold versus Chris Weidman at UFC 230 is a great contender, number one contender fight, so that whoever wins out of Robert Whittaker and Kelvin Gastelum could get that next fight. I don't know if Robert Whittaker is injured though. I think he may be injured right now because of that fight with the Soldier of God, Yoel Romero.
Don't forget Jesus.
Don't forget Jesus. Another great fight at UFC 230 is going to be Jacare Souza, or as I like to say, Jacare.
Jacare.
He's fighting David Branch. David Branch had an really impressive performance his last fight out. I think this is going to be a great fight.
Hey, who are you calling?
You know what? We are not at UFC 230 yet, so I don't have to make a call. There you
go. Do Boom. Better.
In thine own face.
To thine own self be true.
So I think it's going to be a great fight. November 3rd is that one is official. So David Branch has been calling out Jacare for a long time. He's going to get his wish, but you know what they say.
Never fight the Brazilian.
No, be careful what you wish for because you just might get it.
Nah, that's dumb.
A week later, November 10th in Denver, Colorado.
Oh, where that is?
Cowboy Cerrone is fighting Platinum Mike Perry.
Oh, yet another fight that we don't actually... No, here's the thing. I kind of do care. I think there's going to be a lot of action. I don't like either of these people, but I think that they're going to put on a show.
I think so, too. And it's a great timing because that is the actual 25th anniversary show for the UFC. So what makes this really interesting is that they are both teammates at Jackson Winklejohn.
Yeah, that's going to be... I feel like one should have to leave. Whoever loses, you can no longer be at Jackson Wink.
Well, I it's always a precarious type of situation whenever you're fighting someone who you train with at a gym, because what you're doing is splitting the resources. Who gets the Greg Jackson strategy? Who's going to get the Winklejohn training? Is it going to be Cowboy Cerrone because he's been there a lot longer, and he's brought a lot of fame to or is he going to give it to Mike Perry, who's rising up and is a young fighter? We saw this happen way back when John Jones fought Rashad Evans. They both trained at Jackson Winklejohn. Rashad Evans left and went to Black Zillions, and his career went.
Yeah. That was really good. You've done some voiceover work.
Yeah,
Yeah, with the strategy that Jackson Wink is usually able to put together for their opponents, it does seem weird that they would hey, here's how to beat up your teammate. Wouldn't you just bow out? Just if your kids were wanting to fight, would you just be sweep the leg?
Yep. That's what you do.
I forget that you actually...
Don't say it. No. You don't say it. Don't say it.
All right.
Don't say it because you're going to cause problems for me.
For the kids in the back, let me tell you the order in which your dad loves you.
It's a 3-way tie. Shut up. Let's continue.
Oh, my gosh. All right. So what else we have?
Dana White drops more than $1 million on his son's 16th birthday. You know what I'm thinking?
He should
I want to be a White. I want to be a Dana White child. That's That's an awesome birthday present. You don't even have to drop $1 million. Just
phrasing on that was fire.
$100,000, please.
Here's my problem. So you can drop $1 million on a 16th birthday, but half of your roster can't afford meals. They can't afford to be fighters full time, but you got $1 million to drop. Congratulations, buddy. Good work.
Dude, if you see this list of, let's see, it was a 6-hour party at Dre's rooftop pool overlooking the corner of Flamingo Road in the Las Vegas Strip. They had Migos, they had Everlast, DJ Carnage, ASAP Rocky. They even presented him his own championship-style belt, and in a special gift, they gave him a customized Land Rover Defender.
Good for this kid, because your life is only going downhill from here.
It's crazy.
Congratulations, you peaked way too early.
Wow. And for the other son's birthday party, Dana Jr., they got the Brooklyn Bowl, hired Kendrick Lamar to perform. They had Kendrick Lamar performing at his son's birthday party. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine having someone like Kendrick Lamar performing at your birthday party? Just call him up.
I would rather just keep the money and just play the CD. I'm old. Like, give me my money.
I am so amped. You know why I'm amped? Because Nick Newell fights tomorrow on Dana White's Tuesday Contender Series. This is his do or die moment. He is going to go in the octagon, and he is either going to walk out having missed out on a UFC contract, or he is going to realize his dream and make it to the big show.
Very, very interesting. I think we're all rooting for Nick, which sucks for his opponent.
We are all rooting for Nick. Now, why are we rooting for Nick? If you guys don't know, Nick Newell, he's going to take on a guy named Alex Munoz. But Nick Newell is a congenital amputee. He has lost part of his left arm. It ends just below his elbow. And he is returning to competition, since he's been out for a while. And he is coming to try to get a UFC contract. Like, this is super exciting because this is a guy who was born with an obstacle. He has overcome that obstacle in just amazing fashion, having wrestled all throughout high school and college, amassing a huge record, going 14-1. I think the only person he's ever lost to is Justin Gaethje.
Really? That's impressive.
So, I mean, when you think about, like, the only guy to beat him is a guy who's currently in the UFC.
World class.
Who's world class, who's one of the most explosive fighters that you're going to find at like 170 pounds. I think it's 155 or 170, something like that. 155. This is a guy that is, I just believe in him so much. I want him to win tomorrow night. We are going to celebrate on the show next week when he wins. Dana White better give him a UFC contract because winning
and $1 million party.
This is the question. Do you think that Nick Newell, after Dana White has said that Nick Newell was never going to fight in the UFC, do you think Nick Newell can just win and get a UFC contract, or does he have to win in decisive fashion to get a UFC contract?
I think it has nothing to do with how he wins. It's all about the tweets and supports that he gets numbers-wise. Dana doesn't actually care about the wins. He cares about what kind of draws he can get.
Yeah. You care about the kind of draws you can get too, right?
Got him.
Chris Cyborg snaps on Amanda Nunes. I wasn't going to put this on there, but it was so good. I wasn't ready.
I am uninterested 100%. Like, it's all talk. Unless they want to fight, congratulations.
Okay, so let me just set this up for you. Amanda Nunes was having a Twitter beef with some random stranger, right? And so Amanda Nunes asked this random stranger, tell me what featherweight would be better than fighting me. Chris Cyborg hops on and goes, Amanda, you haven't fought me at 145 because you couldn't keep winning at that weight. I could fight my shadow in a parking lot and sell more than 85,000 pay-per-views. You can't be a lion when you're afraid to fight cats. Comment and then she referenced Kat Zingano. She mentioned Kat Zingano.
That's okay. That's solid.
That is fire right there. I am saying that. I already like Chris Cyborg, but now, like, she is working her way up the ladder to being one of my favorite fighters, because that right there, that is trash talk. That is promo talk right there.
Muito boa. But the problem is, it's, again, trash talk. The UFC has to get better at putting fights together that matter, and not just this haphazard people calling each other out on Twitter is how things get done. It's a problem, as we saw the Tyron Woodley thing. So I don't want to encourage this, no matter how good the burn.
The burn was good, though. Like,
calling the burn unit. What just happened there? Yo, can we edit that out and post? No. I don't even know what's happening in my life.
No, that was great. I loved it. Last story. Last week we celebrated. I don't know if we celebrated, but we observed the 45th anniversary of Bruce Lee's death. And I think that a show that's dedicated to mixed martial arts needs to stop and just remember Bruce Lee, whose vision it was to refine the martial arts, take from the pantheon of the great martial arts and develop a system that would take the good things from each one of these disciplines and remove those things that were ineffective or just simply theoretical in nature. I think that vision that he had for Jeet Kune Do is manifest in the UFC and Bellator and PFL and all of these mixed martial arts promotions. The sport of mixed martial arts is the reality of Jeet Kune Do.
I think it started down that way. And I love Bruce Lee's legacy, but it is far from being the culmination of the Jeet Kune, his dream.
Jeet Kune Do.
Jeet Kune Do. Just because there's too much reliance on wrestlers turned jiu-jitsu specialists and grapplers, like there's not really much of a Muay Thai element to UFC, but that doesn't take away from just the fact that Bruce had this amazing idea of building what the foundations of mixed martial arts, like, that's just amazing. I wish we would adhere more to that vision of it being about martial arts and showing kind of the best of each. But, we don't live in a perfect world.
All right. Well, there you have it. Those were the headlines for the week. We're going to get right into the fight card. All right, this is the fight card. This is where we're going to look forward at the fights coming up this week. The only fight that I want to talk about is UFC Fight Night Alvarez versus Poirier 2. This is from Scotiabank Saddledome in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. This card is amazing.
I mean, it's okay.
What are you talking about? What you talking about, Willis?
You got a couple of number 1s and 2s in here.
Oh my goodness, this fight. So just so that you guys know that the UFC has been to Calgary a couple of times, but the last time they came to Calgary, it was just a horrible, horrible card. They had an amazing card put together. People started dropping like flies, and by the time they actually pulled off the show, it was, a bunch of no-names and has-beens fighting on the card. So Dana White promised the people of Calgary that he was going to come back and he was going to bring an amazing card, and I think he delivered.
How so? Let's run through the
lineup. The number 13, Alexander the Great Hernandez versus the Quebec Kid, Olivier Aubin Mercier.
Darion.
You're what?
Is that not a thing?
No, it is a thing. It's like it's like you're welcome.
I guess it's okay.
You should have been more like Deco.
Oh, d'accord. Dang it. Look.
That's like, all right.
It's been so long since I've done my French. Hey, it's such a shame.
You started this show off with impeccable German that I'm going to forgive you that you didn't get the French.
Das gut.
There you go.
Anyway.
All right, so you've got Alexander the Great Hernandez versus the Quebec Kid, Olivier Aubin Mercier. The next fight of the night, How the Mighty Has Fallen, number 1, Joanna Jędrzejczyk.
The Mighty has fallen to number 1.
Yes, but she's not on a pay-per-view. She's.
Yeah.
Joanna Jędrzejczyk versus number 5, Tisha the Tiny Tornado Torres. I feel bad for Tisha Torres, but I'm not going to make that pick. Number 2, Jose Aldo versus number 4, Jeremy Little Heathen Stevens. Jose Aldo is... he's got a 2-fight losing streak, both to Max Holloway. He needs a win pretty badly. I think. No, he's fought before. He's fought someone since Conor McGregor.
He hasn't. He looked really good in that return.
All right. Then in the main event, number 3, the Underground King Eddie Alvarez versus number 4, Dustin the Diamond Poirier. Let's do some flash fight picks. Let's start off with Joanna Jędrzejczyk versus Tina Tisha the Tiny Tornado Torres?
I'm going Tisha.
I
think there's a blueprint for Joanna right now.
Yes, but only one person can execute it. Tisha Torres is not that person. Joanna is going to blaze her.
Okay.
Blazed.
All right. Once I said it out loud, it did sound ludicrous. let me take all of that back. So what I meant to say is not that Tisha would. I thought I was making myself very clear, and that Tisha wouldn't.
Oh, got it. Yes. Yes. It was the double negative thing.
Exactly.
Jose Aldo versus Jeremy Little Heathen Stevens. Who you got?
Oh man, I gotta go Jose. He's got he's shown some elements of that snappiness that he had on his punches. I think he's still in the right direction. He's moving up.
Jose Aldo, his time has come. His Little Heathen Stevens is going to win this fight. This is his fight. So I got Jeremy Stevens putting out Jose Aldo and knocking him from the top of the division for the first time in about 8 or 10 years.
Well, looks like Jeremy's feeling jumpy. Let's see if he can make the leap.
All right. Ooh, look at you. And then in the main event of the evening, Eddie Alvarez versus Dustin Poirier. Who you got?
Man, I'm just thinking of the Conor wins that have happened on this card. And it's tough. Like, I liked Dustin versus Conor. I hated Eddie. So I'm going Poirier.
You know what? I'm going to go Poirier too. Eddie Alvarez, great fighter, but Poirier is just so technical. I love the way he fights. And so when you have a brawler,
better with age.
When you have a brawler and you have someone like Poirier, I just think Poirier is going to be too good for Eddie. If Eddie can overwhelm him with his smothering wrestling and speed, maybe, but I just see Dustin Poirier just eating him up.
Not going to be a good day for Eddie Kane.
There you go. All right, so follow us on social media. On Twitter, I'm at CST Ryan.
And I am at CST_KC.
If you want to follow John Keys, he is at Keys to Victory, and that's going to be KEYES. You can check out the website at www.combatsportstalk.com, and you can find us on iTunes, SoundCloud, Facebook, and Instagram. We have merchandise on Amazon. I've been teasing this new shirt design, but I haven't had time to work on it, so I'm going to try to work on it this week while I'm on vacances.
But we still have some greatness with our classics, like Boom Rocked 'em. Boom Rocked 'em.
That's right.
Why is the drop better than me?
Because I got it. I got you doing it like in context.
With passion. Yeah.
Yes. So it was great. I got you in context whenever I did that. So yeah.
Bam. Sacked him.
So yes, we do have the Combat Sports Talk logo tee, and we've got the KC catchphrase "Boom Rocked 'em" T-shirt. We're gonna add another one pretty soon. And we've added a new section on the website for live events. We did not do UFC 226 because it was my wife's birthday, and so I wasn't there with Mr. George Stallworth, but we will be back in August for the next one. We've had a lot of really interesting conversations there. All right, you got anything else before we go?
Yeah. Hey, guys, Ryan is losing weight. Let's make sure to keep him honest.
Wow. Thank you for that.
Yeah. Yeah, I just threw you right under the bus. Congratulations.
Okay.
You now have 10,000 people keeping you accountable.
All right. Well,
no pressure.
My wife thanks you. There you go. All right, here we go. Our theme music is composed by Scott McCurry at scottdeancountry.com, and Casey Onyebuchi produced our lead-ins. I want to thank you for joining us for another edition of Combat Sports Talk. For Casey Onyebuchi, I'm Ryan Smith, reminding you to keep your hands up, your chin tucked, and throw bombs.